Okay, good morning everyone. We'll get started with our class. In case the previous classes are overshooting, kindly inform their faculty, especially on Thursdays. Other days we can, kind of move things around. Thursdays because there is the next class starting at 11:50. I want to, be able to start at 11 o'clock because now it's like almost 10 minutes we have lost the time. Uh, and I think there are some BTech students who have another elective after 12:45. So that's the reason. Okay. All right. So I have evaluated your assignment which you submitted. I think all of you have submitted except Srinidhi. And I've given some comments. One comment that I want to make, which I think all of you had done, is that you have calculated the error from in the time domain and you have calculated the SQNR. What I actually wanted you to do is to calculate the SQNR from the spectrum, okay? Because that's how usually it is done. You don't get access to the individual nodes. When you test an ADC, you cannot, find out what is the exact error. So that is the reason we use the spectrum. And spectrum, all of you have plotted in the normal magnitude scale. Usually spectrum is plotted in the dB scale, okay? So which is why you're not able to see the noise floor at all. For all the different quantization levels that you have, you're basically seeing the same line which is touching zero, almost touching zero, right? So just go back to your MATLAB simulation or Octave simulation and plot the FFT in the dB scale. Put a 20 log of the absolute of the FFT and you'll be able to see the noise floor basically just moving down as you increase the number of bits, okay? And usually the way to calculate SQNR from the spectrum is like you have a certain number of bins and only one bin, if you take a single-sided spectrum, have only one bin having the signal, okay? Of course, if you take a double-sided spectrum, you'll have two bins having the signal and all the others will have noise. So you take only those two bins which have the signal, compute its power, and or already if it's in dB, you just take those values, right? Like you and I mean add them up in the normal natural scale, and you add up the power in all the other thing. Don't add up dB numbers, okay? Convert it to natural numbers, add up the power in all the other bins, and only in one bin you'll have the thing. Of course, DC you can leave it. Like in DC, of course, you have this one. So that's how you find out the SQNR, okay? Signal power to the quantization noise power. So I have evaluated all your assignments and I've given you some marks. All right, so before I start today's class, quiz 2, I think mixed signal VLSI is next Thursday, 8th April, right? And so that will be an open book exam, all right? So, and for the open book exam, the syllabus is going to be two papers that I have shared already in the Moodle page, okay? And so these are the two papers. Uh, I have taken some short papers. I have not given a full-length journal paper. These are brief papers, both taken from the transactions, IEEE transactions on the circuits and systems. It's number 2, which is the express breeze. So you can see it's just about 5 pages. Okay, this is one paper which is 1 volt, 560 nanowatt SAR ADC with a 90 dB SNTR for IoT sensing applications. Now this is an industry paper. I think this is from Analog Devices. Okay, and I think all of them are from Analog Devices. And it's a very ultra low power SAR ADC. It's a very interesting paper. I would like you to go through it. It's a SAR ADC. They have talked about some techniques, some ground sampling technique and other things. And the other paper is also from the same TCAS 2, Transactions on Circuits and Systems 2, which is a low cost 14-bit current steering DAC with a randomized thermometer coding method. I think this is from MediaTek. Okay, no, they are from some Megawind technology. Okay, whatever, right? And this is a Taiwan paper, yeah. So this is also about 5 pages long. Now, for your exam, for the second quiz, of course, a lot of stuff that we talk about here, we have already covered in class. The concepts, underlying concepts have been covered. As I mentioned at the beginning of this class, it's an advanced course. This is not like it's not a fundamental course. This is an advanced course, and therefore, uh, I mean, there's no point writing normal theory type exams. Doing a half a dozen derivations. That's not what it is, and which is why we also have a significant project component. Okay, so for quiz 2, these are the two papers. One is an ADC paper, one is a DAC paper, and I want you to go through both these papers. I have given you 1 week's time, right? And maybe sometime next week I'll schedule a session. In case you have some doubts regarding these two papers, I'll spend some time trying to explain some concepts if you're not able to grasp them. So again, especially in grad school like this, you have to start your work from day one. All right. So don't wait till just one day before the exam to go through the paper. If you are starting reading the papers just one day before the exams, 100% you cannot cover it. All right. You need to start from today. You need to be able to read it, understand it. Many times you'll have to kind of read it, reread it, and if you want, you can print it out and have a hard copy during your exam, or if you want, you can have a soft copy also. All right, so you can refer to the paper while writing the exam. So I will be asking questions from the concepts and basically from the paper. I mean, I can take it from anywhere in the paper. All right, and you should be able to understand. I mean, you should have understood the paper, what all they have done, and you should be able to explain in your own words, not just copy paste, right? And you should be able to answer the questions. I mean, the type of questions might be different. I mean, it can be some multiple choice, or it can be some true false kind of thing, or it also can be descriptive questions. So 15 marks will be from both these papers. All right, any questions, any doubts? Okay.
No, sir.
Sir, will there be MCQ
I
type
don't know. I
questions?
still
And
haven't made up my mind on that. So I don't know. Anything can be there.
okay, sir.
Basically, you should be able to understand the paper and answer questions based on that. Okay. All right. So this will also give you exposure to how a real product is done, and I mean how real world chips are designed. What are the different things that they are looking at? Both are industry papers, right? Or at least one is academic industry and the other is fully industry paper. So they are. I mean, these are all things that have gone into products which people have. People are selling and making money out of it, right? So these are so which is why I want you to go through them, and that will be a really good learning experience for all of you. Okay, all right, and of course for the final exam, we will let's see how it happens. Now you have already done your assignments for 15 marks, right? So 10 marks for the sample and hold, and 5 marks for the MATLAB exercise. Now what I want to do is I want you to split into two groups, okay? And one group will, I will give you access to Cadence. I'll hope by next week I should be able to give you. So how did you access Cadence last semester? Through TeamViewer?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
each of you had your own individual logins, or did you have it as a group?
individual login.
Okay, but you had to do time sharing, right? Like all of you could not log in at the same time. Or were all of you able to log in at the same time?
No, sir.
Time
Time
sharing
sharing
was
was
there.
there.
Okay. Okay. So what we will do is, can you guys do me on favor? Can you just try to access the same system and see if you are able to access your accounts? Okay. I think two systems were used for two or three systems. I'm not sure. So just let me know whether all the systems are available. I mean, whether all of you are able to access your accounts or not. Okay. And let me know. So based, yeah.
So we were actually sharing three PCs among
Okay. So
ourselves.
I think out of the three, one has been given to the project students. maybe 2 might be available. Just check and let me know which of the accounts are accessible and which of the accounts are not accessible. Okay, and so then I can do. So for the rest of the 25 marks, what I would like you to do is one team will work on uh, the input side of things. Okay, so for an ADC, this is for an ADC project. So one team will work on input buffer, sample and hold, and sample and hold with buffer. So already you have built some sample and hold circuits. Now either you can use a flip around sample and hold, or you can use a normal sample and hold with the rail to rail buffer. So the aim is that we should be able to sense rail to rail signals and be able to provide sampled value of rail to rail signal. So that is the overall objective. Okay, so that will be one group of students who will work on it. You can kind of draw on the your experience designing the sample and hold. In fact, the op-amp needs some change because the op-amp cannot produce a rail-to-rail output. Although you might have a rail-to-rail input, you may not be able to provide rail-to-rail output. So you need to add a class AB stage at the output, and you have to use. So that is one thing. Secondly, the other project would be to build a comparator with a preamp. Okay, so auto zeroing, I forgot to take that part. I will, although I mentioned it, I'll take it once, maybe in one of the classes, or maybe why not do it today? Right, I can cover for the lesser amount of time that we have today. Let me do that. Okay, so preamp plus comparator with auto zeroing, that will be the other group's work. So you have to do schematic design, you have to do Monte Carlo simulation, especially the comparator team, and you will have to do layout, you have to do layout extracted simulations. So, and each of you should have your own contribution to it. Okay, so that's the way that we will have, and that will be for 25 marks. All right. So you can maybe right after your, when is your quiz 2 getting over? 16th?
15, I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah, so right after that you can start, and you'll have about 1.5 months to do your project. All right. So take it seriously, that's directly 25%. And in all likelihood, we will even be fabricating your design. So so basically take it seriously into. Okay. All right. So I thought of covering some analysis of the delta sigma modulators today. But what we will do is, let's skip it, and let me cover the auto zeroing part, which I missed out earlier. Okay. So basically auto zeroing is for when you want to, so this is like kind of, going back to the comparators thing. So we know that comparators have large offset. Okay, so typically it can be between 20 to 30 millivolt. Typically, so this can be. So how do you simulate the offset? So there is a way in which you can simulate. There are a couple of techniques to simulate them. It's not very straightforward actually. And so one is, people give a very slow ramp and then see, or people give a DC signal and then see the number of ones and number of zeros and so on. Okay, so whatever it is, you have some offset. Okay, now as I mentioned in one of the classes before, one of the ways to combat this offset is basically to say, okay, it's difficult to take care of this offset. Okay, but what I will do is, I will instead put a preamplifier before it. Okay, so let's say this is your comparator with its two inputs, V in P and V in M. Let's say this is your D out. All right. Now, what we are going to do is, we are going to put a fully differential op amp in front of it. Right now we'll not go into the implementation. Let's just say that we put an amplifier with a gain A. Okay, and let's say the offset is denoted as, let's say V in P, let's say this is your V offset, which is in this polarity, because you can always change the polarity, but once you use it, you need to basically stick to it. All right. Now, what does it mean if you say I have a comparator and I have an offset voltage VOS? Okay. What does it mean? It means that if V in P and V in M, so the actual Vp and Vm here, what is Vp? Vp can be written as V in P plus VOS, correct? And of course, Vm is nothing but V in M. Now, the comparator D out will be 1 if Vp is greater than Vm, which basically means that V in P plus VOS is greater than Vm. All right. So even, okay, so let me write it on the other thing. So D is 1 if V in P plus VOS is greater than V in M. So if, for example, V in P is plus 5 millivolt and V in M is, let's say, minus 2 millivolt, and let's say VOS is, let's say, plus 20 millivolt. Okay. Now what happens? Actually, your okay, sorry. Let's say this is minus 5 millivolt. This is plus 2 millivolt. Okay, let's have it like that. Now the expected result is basically D equal to 0. Correct? Because your input plus voltage is lesser than your minus voltage. Okay, and the difference is about 7 millivolt. So obviously you expect your comparator to give you a 0. But what happens because of the offset voltage? Vp now becomes plus 15 millivolt. Okay, and the actual result is D equal to 1. Okay, which is a wrong result, a wrong comparison, right? So this exactly is the problem of offset, right? Because of, where is this offset coming from? Because of the transistors, the mismatch between the two transistors, you are going to have one transistor will have slightly more VTH than the other, and effectively we can say that there is a voltage source in series with the entire thing. This is the way to model. Okay, so in order to kind of get rid of this offset, right, you have to make sure that the input referred offset, let me call it VOS in, right, the VOS in should be lesser than, let's say, your half VLSB. Okay, that is to say, if you want to be able to detect, okay, let's say the VLSB is, for example, um, uh, 200 microvolt. All right. So half VLSB is 100 microvolt. Okay, which means that you want to have your accuracy of your comparator to be less than half VLSB. Okay, so within that it should be able to very carefully, we should be successfully able to distinguish signals. So which means that your input referred offset with this preamplifier, right, is supposed to be less than that. So for example, if this is the thing, okay, then what should be the gain that is required? Can you tell me? So VOS is, let's say, 20 millivolt, but you want it to be less than 100 microvolt, right? So minimum A should be greater than or equal to what? 20 millivolt divided by 0.1 millivolt. So which means that A should be greater than or equal to 200 volt per volt, right? So this is how we build a preamplifier. Okay, so this is how we define what is going to be the minimum gain that is required for the preamplification. Okay, whatever I have given might be a little kind of very tight kind of a spec, but then, you know, but something like this is what we actually need to have. All right. So what is the advantage? So if you have a 100 microvolt signal, let's say Vp let's say VPA and VMA, let's say VPA minus VMA is equal to 100 microvolt, right? After this, what is going to be the swing here? So 200 times 100, so that's going to be 220 millivolt. So it's exactly going to be equal to your offset. So basically, if you take it to be 210 millivolt or something, 210 or something, the gain to be, let's say A is 210. Now what happens? Even if there is a offset of 20 millivolt, you still don't bother because your half LSB value has been amplified to be more than your comparator's offset voltage. Okay, so that you are not going to get a wrong decision. In other words, you have to make sure that the comparator does not produce any wrong offset voltage, wrong decisions for any signal whose differential input is greater than or equal to half VLSB. Understood? Is it clear? Okay. All right.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, how to build this preamplifier? All right. Now, the way to do it is now the next question can be, what about the offset of the preamplifier? Right. Preamplifier is also made of transistors. Preamplifier also will have mismatch within its transistors. Obviously, there will be a differential pair. Now, all we have done is we have shifted the problem from one circuit to the next circuit. Right. Now, how to take care of this problem? So, this is where offset cancellation, the solution is basically called as auto zeroing or offset cancellation. Now, this is a very elegant technique. So, let me draw this. Let me kind of draw and explain. Okay, let's say this is your fully differential op amp. Okay. Now, in one phase of the clock, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the offset of this op amp. Okay. So there are different ways to do offset cancellation. Okay. Let's look at the both methods and then let's see which method is to be used. Okay. So let me model this with the offset series voltage like this. Okay. So this is the model of the actual fully differential op amp. All right. Now, what happens? How can I measure this offset voltage? Let's say in one phase of the clock, this op amp is not doing anything useful. So it is all up to me, right? I have some, maybe some nanoseconds of time or hundreds of nanoseconds, tens of nanoseconds, where I can do anything with this op amp, but I want to be able to measure the offset. How can I measure the offset? Because see, for our modeling purpose, we say there is a voltage source in series, but in practice, you don't have any voltage source sticking there. You know that there is some, mismatch there. So how can you measure? So maybe what we will do is let's look at the single-ended equivalent first, so that it will be a little easier to understand. And then of course we know that we can use it for the same thing. Okay. Yeah. So one technique is basically to say short the inputs together. Okay. If you go and short the inputs together, what will happen? What will be V out? Let's look at the single-ended case first. What will be V out?
Gain times
It will be
VOS.
the A times VOS, where A is the open loop gain of your op amp. All right. Now, the same way, if you do it for the differential signal, okay, you will basically get a differential V out, which is equal to the differential gain times VOS. Correct. All right. Now, do you think it's a good way to do it, or do you see any problem, or is it a good thing? So like what we can do is, let's say we short it, and let's say we have a switch which is connected to a capacitor. Okay, let me give you the scheme. Let's say I am going to short the thing. There is this VOS, and I'm going to store it in this capacitor in that phase 5. Okay, in phase 5 bar, what I will do is I will open the thing. Okay, let's say I am using it as an amplifier, right? And this capacitor will be in series. So what is stored in the thing here? It is A times VOS. So A times VOS is in series. So we know that as long as you don't draw current through this op amp, it is going to act like a battery in series, and therefore V out can be written as A times V in P, V in M, V in P plus VOS minus V in M minus A times VOS, which basically is equal to A times V in P minus V in M. Correct? I mean, something similar can be done with the differential thing also. Do you think this will work fine, or do you see any problems?
If VOS is
Okay, very
large,
good. If VOS is large,
then the out, output will go to
exactly,
saturation.
right? So for example, let's fit in some numbers. If VOS is, let's say, 20 millivolt, and let's say your gain is 1000. Okay, 60 dB op amp, all of you have designed, right? 60 dB, 70 dB op amps, right? So what will be your A times VOS?
20.
It's supposed to be 20 volt, but can you have 20 volt in your op amp? Not possible, right? So
No.
basically it will go and settle where? Either VDD or it will go to ground, right? So what you are doing here is you are basically having a capacitor at the output which is storing what? Either VDD or it is storing ground. So absolutely there is no use of this calibration, right? If you have subtracting VDD, then you will have a negative signal at the output, right? So basically this is a very bad technique, so you should never ever use this technique. Okay. So recently in one of the ISRO centers, they were trying to tape out a ADC, and some problem similar to this happened. Okay. So this is a problem which is, you know, it's a very bad thing to do. Okay. So then what can we do? Okay. So the second method, which is the best method to do, is basically to take this thing and say, okay, I'm going to, do a unity gain feedback, all right, and this I'm going to store in a capacitor C, all right. So this is in the 5 phase. Now what will be V out? Let's say this is grounded. Okay, either ground meaning it's given to some VCM. All right, some VCM. Now what will be the output voltage? If you assume that it is grounded, right, what you will basically get is what? Or let's say it's in some VCM, so you'll basically have VCM plus VOS, correct? Or divide A divided by A plus 1, correct? Because that's what you have, right? Like if you have a signal, let's say there is some Vn and you have a unity gain feedback, so V out can be written as Vin minus V out into A. Right? So V out can be written as 1 plus A and Vin into A. So V out by Vn can be written as what? A by 1 plus A. Correct. So depending on the open loop, which is why we always try to keep a very high open loop gain for our op amp for for all these unity gain buffers, right? So output voltage can be given as VCM plus VOS times A. So this is A by A plus 1. So V out can be written as VCM. All right. Now in this is, let's say, in the 5 phase. Let's say in the 5 bar phase, what you would do is you'll basically take, let's say there is this VOS, and now you have this capacitor, right? So and then you use it, right? So let's say the input is already coming with a certain common mode voltage, it will be directly getting subtracted. Okay. Now this is a very rudimentary kind of thing. So let us go to, same thing can be done using differential systems. Okay. So in differential systems, what will you have? You'll have, this is the negative feedback, right? And then you will say, okay, I am putting two capacitors and both of them are connected to ground, or let's say both of them are connected to VCM, right? So let's say this is in the 5 phase, you're connecting like this. So the op amp circuit is going to be something like this, right? Connected to VCM. And what will be stored across these two capacitors is basically the offset voltage. Okay, so the offset voltage gets automatically stored in. So if you say, okay, this is my offset voltage, so one of the things will have the offset voltage in the opposite polarity, right? And you will be able to cancel it out. Okay, so now let us put together the entire system. So usually what happens is, right, so what is the comparator procedure? Let's say if you take a flash architecture or whatever it might be, usually you will have what? In the single ended case, you will say you have Vin minus some scaled factor of Vref, right, being compared. Correct. So this is the comparison that is usually done. If you take, for example, a flash ADC, you have the scaled version of the reference voltages and then you compare them. If you take a pipeline ADC, usually it is what? Compared to half your VREF or something like that, right? Or for that matter, SAR ADC also, you will probably compare it. Of course, you will have plus and minus things. So what you can do is, for example, if you take a flash ADC, right, what you can do is, let's say you have two phases, or this is your fully differential op amp, right? And then this is going to your comparator, right? Let's say this is your D. Now, let's say this is clocked. Let's put the clocking also later. Now, instead of writing VCM here, what you can do is you can have a switch which writes, let's say Vref P, and here you have Vref M. Okay. So if this is for the single-ended case, what you will be comparing is basically V in P minus V in M being compared with Vref P minus Vref M. Okay. So for a fully differential case, the reference is also differential, the input is also differential. Okay. So and then, okay, this is your V in P and V in M. All right. So when in one phase of the clock, okay, there are going to be two phases, okay, phi and phi bar. Okay, phi phase of the clock can be taken as the let's say that is the auto zeroing phase. All right. So that is the auto zeroing phase. Of course, what will happen is you will also have a RS latch, right? Why do you need an RS latch for the comparator? I think we didn't have time to cover that when we discussed the comparator. Because the comparator will evaluate the system only for one phase of the clock. The other phase of the clock, it is just reset, and that time the outputs are not valid. So your RS latch will basically read the signal in the evaluation phase and hold it for the other phase. Okay. So now let us say auto zeroing phase, and then let's say this is the amplifying phase. All right. So in the auto zeroing phase, what will happen? This switch is closed, right? And you are going to write these voltages, right? And what will happen? These switches are all off. So in the amplify phase, so in the auto zeroing phase, VREF and VREF are written to these plates of the capacitor. This one will have what? VCM plus VOS, okay? And this will also have VCM, right? So what is stored on the capacitor during the offset phase is basically VREF minus VCM plus VOS, right? Or rather VCM is what will be stored there, and the other one will have, let's say, VCP. VCM would be VREF M minus VCM minus VOS, correct? Sorry, plus VOS, right? Because whatever is here will appear here, and what is here at this terminal is plus VOS, VCM plus VOS. So that is what you would basically get. All right. So then what will happen in the amp? So this happens in the amplifier auto zeroing phase. In the amplifying phase, what will happen? The capacitor is acting as a battery in series. So what you will do is V in P minus VREF P will automatically happen. Okay, and here already you have VOS in one polarity. Here you will have VOS in the other polarity, right? And so it will be basically VCM minus yeah. So you will have VREF, okay, minus VCM minus VOS. Okay, this will be VCM plus. Okay, I think it is minus here. Okay, just can think about the polarity. I think the polarity is like this. Yeah. So this would be the amplifier. This would be the signal. So in the amplifying phase, that VREF and the offset will get subtracted through the capacitor, and this preamp will directly amplify. Okay. So in the 5 bar phase is the amplifying phase, and that is when this switch is given to the comparator. Now, when do you write the inputs to a comparator? When the comparator is in the reset phase. Okay. So in 5 phase, this is in the, sorry, in the 5 bar phase it is in the reset, and in the 5 phase it is regeneration. Okay. So you give 5 here. You understood? So you are writing the inputs to the comparator when it is in the reset phase. So if 5 bar is when you are writing, so 5 bar should be the reset phase of your comparator, and 5 will be the regeneration phase of your comparator, right? So if 5 is the regeneration phase of your comparator, that is when this RS latch is also getting written to. All right. So this is how you have your entire offset cancelled or auto zeroing happening for your entire comparator. So usually you have a preamp with a comparator, and the preamp does auto zeroing, and you attach the phases of the clock such that it is able to cancel the offset. Okay, I said that, so when auto zeroing is happening, the comparator is independently regenerating and writing into the latch. Okay, and so when the amplification is happening, the comparator is in its reset mode. Okay, any doubts, any questions? Okay, so this is what you would be basically doing in the other team would be designing the entire thing, running Monte Carlo simulations, and also doing the other simulations. Okay, all right, doing the layout and layout extracted simulations. Okay, so let's wind up the class with this, and please start going through the papers. Don't come and say, okay, the day before the exam, don't WhatsApp me and ask me for doubts. Okay, I'll have a doubt clearing session probably next Tuesday. All right, Tuesday we have the first hour class. During that time, we can have the session. Oh, Tuesday is elections here, it's a holiday. All right, so Wednesday we don't have a class. So then let's have the doubt clearing session on Monday. Okay, so Monday,
Yes,
sorry?
okay.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's okay, sir.
So Monday 1:45 to 2:30 class?
It's fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
okay. Okay, thanks everyone. Yeah, Tuesday will be a holiday because it's elections here in Kerala. Okay, okay, thanks everyone. Have a nice, let's meet in the other class.
Thank you, sir.